Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back, everybody. How are you? I hope you guys are having a great evening.
Absolutely. So, we're going to talk about a few different things related to consciousness itself, rewiring yourself, and some of the practices that we've preached about, which really can be absolutely life-changing. And then also just, again, understanding the bigger picture of who we are and what is possible. So please do subscribe both EEARTS and also Evolutionary Energy Arts. Make sure you have that little bell clicked. They are coming after us harder. We could feel it. We had to sage, do mantras, and basically clear the energy just right when we started to do this video.
Mm-hmm. And there are certain beings out there that we are very grateful for to help us shield so we can get this information out, because it is strange how everything hits all at once right when we're trying to bring something in about the heart, talk about healing and health and how to bring yourself into balance. It's like everything just shuts down. So I want to say thank you so much to those that are helping.
Absolutely. We couldn't do it without you guys. Again, support on Patreon, Ko-Fi, and those that checked out Medicinal Foods. We still see people investing in their health over there and finding stuff that's going to help them detox and boost their immune system, because we're under attack all day long. That's the truth. And we are really behind enemy lines, so to speak, in this Kali Yuga. But again, we could see the finish line. It is ahead of us. And what's ahead is really, in many ways, unfortunately, incomprehensible for so many, because, it's hard to envision in this world of conflict a world of peace, a world of love, a world of compassion, absolutely a world where we don't see the same forces at work.
Mm-mm. Right. It can be very, very difficult to find acceptance in those things that we cannot change, and then have the ability and the understanding to change those things that we can change. So that can really be difficult, and there's ways where we can sort of sit with the energy and just find a better place. Even though there's so much chaos going on around us, we don't have to be in that chaos. We can bring ourselves up, and that's really important. We got to take responsibility somewhere.
Absolutely. So, we try to integrate the future into today with how we go about our lives. So we do try to get videos up every day. And, when we're making videos on Evolutionary, it's tough. Mm-hmm. It's tough. I told Cindy, it's like, oh, got to take a deep breath. Here we go. All right, bring it on. Let's see what's happening out there. We know what's happening is really tough to stomach. And there's so much going on that how it's being orchestrated. You understand what the purpose is. And it definitely could pull you down. It could definitely get you going two ways. It could get you kind of sad, or it could get you angry. And again, those emotions are not healthy for the body. It's not healthy for the mind, the soul, really. Again, when it comes to the anger side of it, there is an element of self-preservation involved when we do realize what's going on this planet. Yet, if this was not our job and our purpose to be here in order to wake up as many people as possible and to also give them clues as to what's possible, we would be unplugging totally. We would be somewhere just basically with our animals, working on the garden, playing music, doing mantras, doing yoga, doing Qigong, and doing all sorts of spiritual creative practices. That's what we would be doing as best as we could. That time hopefully will come, but in the meantime, we have to go through the death throes of this Kali Yuga. And as you guys know, if you're following along on Evolutionary, there's just so much to cover every single day. It's hard to keep up with it, and it could make your head spin. Did you know your brain will constantly rewire itself to suit the information that you feed into it? This is why I bring that up. Because again, when we look into the news and stuff, yeah, it could be tough, and I feel it. I feel it in your comments out there. Cindy feels it. She knows. And if you constantly complain, gossip, find excuses, etc., it'll make it much easier to find things to be upset about, regardless of what's happening around you. Well, even when there's things that you don't got to make up excuses about, and when it's not even happening to you, but it's happening, the injustices are happening to others, and you understand the bigger purpose behind it, we still can send love, peace, compassion, and healing energies out there into the world. And we can still at the same time give thanks within for all the blessings that we have and the opportunity to help others. What this is and why in the world, there's been some really interesting comments out there that have gotten me interested in responding to some things that are good questions that pop up. And a lot of what we can't undersee is the purpose with so much tragedy in life. But again, this is something that's seen from the higher self. And so while it might look crazy and just insanity, and you would ask yourself, like, one of the questions that came up was, why would somebody, if we did choose our parents, choose to come in to, say, a situation where somebody was forcefully, forcefully made pregnant, if you know what we mean, and there was no love involved. Again, this is something for the higher self, which is simply knows what needs to be learned. If we are eternal beings, eternity is extremely long. I mean, we can't even conceive of eternity. It would give us enough time to basically learn every single possible lesson. And maybe in some past lives, we've taken it a little bit easier. My last life was certainly a creative experience that was very, very self-indulgent in many ways. I acknowledge that. I recognize that. That was a break before this. And so, life was very interesting and creative and expressive. And, my quality of life as far as the things that were available to me were of a much higher sort in that aspect than this life. But this life carries a different purpose. This life carries the purpose of helping others escape the Kali Yuga and get ready for what's coming next. And so I knew that. So basically, it's almost like my soul took a life, my higher self took a life just to kind of enjoy. And we can do that. And there are lives like that. And then there are other lives that have just the highest purposes.
Mm-hmm. Right. It is definitely an adventure, and it is something that we are here to do, is develop our response to things, because we're in a situation where our emotions, our feelings, everything that we put out there is going to respond to us. And how do we manage that? What's the best way to manage it? When traumas happen and our souls are broken, and this can go back generations, how do we start to heal that? Because I feel one of the most important things we can do in this lifetime, during this time of the Kali Yuga, is heal the soul, reconnect you to higher self, highest self. And you're not just connecting you are connecting other generations with you when you decide to heal your soul. And there's very good ways of doing that. It doesn't always have to be going to a doctor. There's ways that we can take this on ourselves, and healing doesn't happen overnight. So if you are doing something that fixes it just for a moment, realize it's only fixing for that moment. So we have to take the time to go in deep and really sit with things and allow the brain to heal itself from these traumas.
Absolutely. So again, what we focus on, like if we're focusing on positive opportunities, abundance, love, and things, especially things to be grateful for, it'll make it much easier to find a reflection of those things around us, and it can change the way we view our settings. And so, if again we start thinking about the good things in the day, and it could be just the simplest things, and start focusing on those, it really could change our perspective of the world. How we live our lives is so important, and really integrating again that mind body meditative integration, especially, again, using the breath to connect the body and the mind together. There's undeniable benefits, and won't go through everything here, but this one's highlighted 12 science-based benefits of meditation. There's been so many studies done. Obviously, reducing stress, controlling anxiety, promotes emotional health, enhances self-awareness, can lengthen your attention span. Absolutely. Boy, I think about my attention span before, and I think about what I could achieve now. It's just, night and day. May reduce age-related memory loss. Can generate kindness. Yeah, because again, think about how perhaps you've been very reactive. Something triggered you. And if you immediately go into those emotions, you might say things you regret. How many times has that happened? Whereas you hold your tongue for a moment or two, rethink things, and recognize maybe it's wiser to not reply at all at this time. Come back to it later. Or reply in a manner that doesn't incite, an even worse response back towards you. So, there's many benefits, again, to meditation, and there's been an incredible amount of studies done that prove this. And the ancients knew about this. Meditation is far more important than we realize, because meditation is connecting us to the real us. This is temporary. All we are is basically consciousness. So that means all we do is be, is. And there's never a time when we're not. Even when we're sleeping, we still are. The health benefits of Tai Chi again. And this is a form of moving meditation. Now, Tai Chi and Qigong, very similar. Tai Chi is basically been adapted for self-defense. There was a big Harvard study done, as well as many other studies that just show the overall health benefits. And again, these are again pretty similar to what you find, except for because of the moving aspect, things like balance and flexibility come into play as well. Qigong, same thing again. Interesting to see how the immune system benefits of Qigong are great. Well, this is my first line of defense when it comes to the immune system, because what we call your Wei Qi, or your external Qi field, is basically the shields for the body against bacteria, viruses, and anything.
Right. And if, as long as we're not having severe reactions toward things when something happens on the outside of us, because when we have these reactions that are really, really heated, that definitely can drop the immune system. And one of those things that we can do to also help heal the brain so that we're not so reactive is mindful meditation. And I really like to use a candle and watch the flame. That really, really helps me. So when we're doing that, it's bringing about another form of healing, which, raises all of our barriers so that we are not so susceptible to the other things out there.
Absolutely. And so, that mindful meditation is key. And so Qigong, here it says, it has 4 components: breathing techniques, body postures, meditation, and guided imagery. So when she was talking about that envisioning things, seeing things in your mind's eye, that's a skill that shouldn't be underrated. And actually, when we think about it, on the higher densities, what are we doing? That's all we're doing. That's all we're doing. When you get up to the highest densities, you're basically an energy field. You are an energy field. You're a particular frequency in the energy field that is really one continuous energy field. So we're just a small section of this energy field that's at a particular frequency and vibration. And we could change that rate. It's all about our consciousness. But all these worlds we create when you start going up into the higher densities, it's guided imagery. It's meditation. It's envisioning. It's all these things. Don't underestimate it. The power of that is just incomprehensible when you get down to, the highest levels. Think about, again, the creator of this universe. Where did it start? It's just a thought. Everything starts with just a thought.
Mm-hmm. Thoughts are things. They're very, very important, and they create. And I think a lot of people don't really understand that. And sometimes when our thoughts take over, what I tell people to do, I don't know if you guys have ever had a situation where you're just, something is like a broken record. It just will not stop going around and around and around in your brain. I invite you to try writing it down. Whatever this scenario is, whatever it's saying, talking, doing, write it down, close the book. And what I have found for myself and many other people is that actually stops that thought, because I believe they're things and I believe they're actual beings and they want to be heard. So once they are processed, once they are heard and you can put them in the book, it's like they feel safe there and they've got to do what they need to do. So try that if that record player thing keeps happening.
So yoga is another one, and obviously yoga can improve strength, balance, and flexibility, but there's many different schools of yoga. So right away, many people think hatha yoga. And of course, there's Raja Yoga or Royal Yoga, which incorporates many different aspects of yoga all rolled up into one. It definitely can help with back pain. It can definitely help with arthritis, heart health, and many other things. Again, it can boost the immune system. It can relieve stress. As somebody that has been in the health field, I could tell you, I know some people that have done yoga all their life that are age-defying. It's amazing. And the same thing with Qigong as well. It's amazing what can be done. Now, epigenetics, this is a science, and it reveals that you can rewrite your genetic heredity just by changing the way that you think. You might think, oh, geez, I got bad genes. You might have had your 23andMe done or Ancestry.com or one of these other services done, and they might tell you, well, you have a predisposition to irritable bowel syndrome, or you have a predisposition to this sort of cancer, whatever it is. And you might think, oh, man, that sucks. Nothing I could do about it. It's in the gene. Yes, there is something you could do about it, because you could rewrite your genes and your DNA. You can change it. It's all about, again, using the mind. We're not stuck. We can overcome. And we know so many people that have been told, you have terminal cancer. Sorry, you got 3 months or whatever it is. And they've gotten totally better. Did they use the recommendations of their M period, D period? Usually not, but some have done that and then added alternative. Others have just gone the alternative route and have totally gone into remission. And not only that, but have gained levels of health and also of that health, body, mind, spirit connection that was missing in time past. Bhakti is all about, again, that positive mindset, that thankfulness, that gratitude. Bhakti is a form of yoga. If you use your emotions and try to reach the ultimate, we call this Bhakti Yoga. That means the path of devotion. We were talking about how when we talk about God with the big G, source, and also, the creator of this universe as well, they're not beings that are dry, sterile, lacking emotion. No, emotion is such a part of everything in the higher realms as well.
Mm-hmm. You can put a lot behind emotion and do a lot with it, and in many ways that's why it is so important to keep yourself in a place where you're neutral, because if you are reactive and you have a lot of bad emotions coming out, that could reflect on things outside of you. So, and it's better for your health, for your heart, and for everyone that we learn how to keep ourselves in some kind of a space where we're just sort of, in a loving gratitude type of a field.
So here you see Hanuman, and he's showing what's in his heart. And what's in his heart is Rama and Sita, not our puppies, but their namesakes, which basically are also incarnations of the divine masculine, divine feminine. It's Lakshmi and Vishnu. Also Radhe and Krishna, another incarnation. But it was his devotion to them. And that basically, if you go through the Ramayana, it's really what saves the day, rescues Sita, who is, again, represents the divine mother, the divine feminine, from the asuras, which are the demonic forces, and he does that as just an act of devotion. And he would give anything to defend the divine mother.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's holding that love and that gratitude in your heart. Sometimes it does help to find something. Maybe it's a favorite song. Maybe it's one of your pets. If you just have this thought where you can hold that energy signature, that will raise up your vibration. That'll raise your frequency and help pull you out of that yucky place.
We can easily see that the system on this planet hates the divine mother and attacks her at every chance. And again, it's reflective in many, many places, obviously with, destroying the children of the mother, which, fish, birds, mammals, everything, us, it's just the poisoning of the planet, everything with the toxicity that we see, the system in place absolutely can't stand the divine feminine and wants to slander it at every turn. And so Bhakti is all about devotion. And it's really uplifting, seeing the divine in everything when you practice Bhakti, the yoga of devotion. So even these dark beings that are very, very ignorant, and unfortunately, so many people don't even understand why they do what they do, why they blindly follow these corporations, these institutions, these different leaders around the globe, and just go along with everything without really understanding the bigger picture. Again, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to find ways to get ourselves extricated from this system. And as we've shared, Yeshua was one of the Essenes, and the Essenes were a group that basically kept themselves outside of the society at that time. They did interact with the society, but they recognized that the society was ruled by the darker powers, and so they kept themselves outside of the society in order to not allow themselves to energetically get affected and pulled into that lower vibrational frequency.
Mm-hmm. I know it's not because they thought of themselves in any better in any way, shape, or form. It's just they knew the effects of energies. They understood how these things affect the body and affect the mind and even the soul. The soul has to be kept clean. It has to be kept pure. And if it is shattered and broken, it needs to be healed at some level. And they had a real deep understanding of all of that.
So this just talks about one individual who is 55-year-old editor in Manhattan. Obviously, that's a tough place to keep your sanity. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Goes on a yoga mat for 90 minutes, 4 days a week. But then she also practices Bhakti yoga. So each morning she practices 30-minute devotional mantra meditation. Before she leaves for work, she repeats a mantra for safe passage. She offers gratitude before each meal. She attends a weekly arati, a late ceremony. And at home, she performs puja, which are basically offerings and ceremonial offerings of different things like milk, rice, flowers, and water to Sarasvati, the Hindu goddess of music, arts, and knowledge, as well as to other deities. Now, these beings they're not source. Of course, source is within them, just like source is within us. But these are beings that are on the higher densities. And so they've already gone through many, many other incarnations. Typically, they are, quote unquote, older souls. Been there, done that, been through many ascensions, been through many Kali Yugas, been through many golden ages, and have a much higher perspective on things than the typical person that's on this planet does. So obviously, if you're going to start to build a house, you've never done it before, you might want to, in this world, look at least at some videos on YouTube to figure out where do I start. It's the same thing. These beings have much, much higher knowledge than us. They can help us and guide us on our path up through the densities. They can help us to prepare for what will life be like in 5D. So again, bhakti is a very personal thing, and it's up to you to show that in any way possible, any way that resonates with you. And kirtans are one of them, and kirtans could be small. Kirtans are where people get together. Often there is a meal. I've found that many kirtans will include potluck meals, but most definitely there is music and mantras and meditation and just a lot of love being shared. One of our main guides is Sri Anandamayi Ma, and she is basically somebody that didn't leave the world too long ago. She was born in 1896. And an amazing light. She had siddhis. Siddhis are these supernatural powers that come about because of a strong connection to the divine. And I'll give you guys this link so you could look more into her. Just an amazing being and amazing guide. And like Cindy says, it's very, very easy for her to connect with Anandamayi Ma.
Mm-hmm. She's very practical. She's one of the easiest beings for us to connect with in the 3D. She has a very innate sense on how to work with the 3D to help you and guide you, but not in a direct way, in a very indirect, gentle way, because this is our journey, and they never want to step in front of our journey here on this planet, but they are happy to assist when invited. So yeah, her energy is really beautiful to connect to, and you can actually feel your heart chakra getting larger whenever you sit with her and connect with her energy. She does a lot of work on the solar plexus, heart chakra, and some on the throat chakra. So that's something that she can help with. If you're having problems in that area, she can assist you.
Absolutely. And there was one period of time where I believe it was for over a year, she basically did a vow of silence and didn't speak a word for over a year. And one of the things that really got her going was doing a particular bija, a seed mantra, that initiated her progress and that connection to the divine. So again, if there's just one practice that I would always make sure is done every single day, for us it's the mantras. And often they're done just all the time during the day. So it's like as soon as we feel any sort of dark energies trying to shut us down, we're doing mantras. In the middle of the night, wake up, might have a little trouble going back to sleep, do mantras till fall asleep. And whenever we do them, I could sense that the guides come. I could see their energy with my visible eyes, and then I could also feel the crown chakra and the energy, the communication coming through the crown chakra. And it's a very, very pleasant experience to know that they're there, and they are blessing us with information that will be revealed to us over time. We basically get what you could call downloads that come through. So there's energy that comes through the crown chakra, gets implanted, and then during meditations and when you're doing mantras, there's these realizations that come through. And sometimes for me, it'll be just seeing scenes, seeing pictures, or all of a sudden just an inspiration, and it's like, oh, I know what to do next.
And you have to put yourself in a receptive state. So that's something that's really important. And a lot of these things put you there. And it's really good for the soul. It's good for healing. It's good for the soul. And it'll give you a much better overall, it's going to help your immune system overall, just in general, when you put these things into practice. So there's a lot of reasons to.
Absolutely. So I hope you guys got something out of this. As always, we look forward to your comments, questions, and suggestions. Much love. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.